Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar from Quote to Dispatch, how SlabStack and Sysdyne integration streamlines sales and operations. Thank you so much for being with us today. I know everybody on this call is quite busy, so we're going to dive right into it. And just to introduce myself, I'm Malcolm Kerr. I'm a VP of Marketing here at Sysdyne, and we'll do the rest of the intros in just one short second. So next slide, please, Gage.
Sorry.
Just to kick us off with some boring housekeeping stuff, we will be doing a Q&A session after we do the live demo. So if you have a question, please click that little question mark icon you see there, type it in, and we'll address those towards the end of the webinar. And we will be recording this session, and we will circulate it with you all live later if there's anyone that you'd want to share it with. So no need to scribble furiously and take notes. You'll have access to it later. All right, without further ado, I'll pass it on to Gage and Henry to kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. Really appreciate everybody joining with us today. A little bit about myself. I'm Gage Hollingsworth, the Director of Sales here at SlabStack. And for those of you who don't know, SlabStack is a leading CRM and price optimization platform. We built this platform specifically for the industry, ready mix producers, asphalt, and aggregate producers. So what we're going to be looking at today is that second bullet point, the integration directly with common dispatch systems. We can provide those real-time cost updates, price and margin controls, and some other features we'll discuss a little bit later. And then down at the bottom, you can see that, like I just mentioned, this built-in dynamic pricing and margin controls. So SlabStack is essentially the one and all sales and business platform designed for producers that can really streamline that data entry.
Thanks, Gage. My name is Henry Lee. I'm the Senior VP for Technical Account Management and Customer Success at Sysdyne. Sysdyne Technologies has been in the industry for over 40 years. We are the industry leaders in cloud-native solutions for end-to-end, from dispatch to batch for delivery management and reporting. We have over 350 customers, from sizes from big and small. Right now, we're touching 100 employees. Our main focus for Sysdyne, we focus on service and engineering. So, over 45% of the company employees are engineering, and 30% of that also we are on the customer service side. So our primary focus is on the product and servicing the industry. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Henry. Moving along. So I'll take a couple of these and I'll pass it to you, Henry. Well, why we're all here today, right? Why is integration important? Well, how does it matter? So some of the main points that we're going to discuss are just eliminating those manual data entry, right, between multiple systems. Of course, that's a nice time-saving feature, faster turnaround, but another main point is going to be that there are just fewer time to make manual data entry errors. I know we all spend quite a bit of time in computers and in the office, and every now and then, we might make a mistake, and this integration can really help eliminate that because the data flows freely between these two different systems, avoids those errors, and then, of course, that faster turnaround time. So, Henry, I'll pass it down to you for this.
Sure. A lot of people are talking about, the differences between how the CRM has been integrated with dispatch. In the past, I've been in this industry for probably 30 years, and really you start seeing the technologies evolving throughout the past 10 years, especially with the cloud solutions and having the open APIs integrations that really give a different type of integrations with the different applications, right? In this case, with the CRM, basically it's not a flat file interface. It's not a passing of files between the two applications, but it's more of a real time. So anything that changes or keying in the CRM, and that information in real time will be visible in the dispatch, right? So we live in the real life environment. that the information, you cannot just wait for 15, 20, or 30 minutes, wait for the information to flow in. But people expect that information to be able to key in one application, then populates automatically on the other one. So with the real-time visibilities and also the real-time through the API interface, that will eliminate a lot of double work, right? So you don't have to key information in one system and make sure that the other side of the system, another application matches that. So avoiding duplicate, it means that you're going to have more accurate information on all the systems. And again, most of the common issues and problems that we know in the industry is having today is, hey, this information that came in from the quote was not keying into the in the order entry, was not captured correctly, and then the back office people will need to reach out and rework on that invoice, or do a credit, or and make touch it, several modifications, and that's time that's consuming, and at the end it's customer experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all here to try to hopefully streamline the process and make our customers' lives a little bit easier. So I know that we're both very proud of that. So that's really, I think, all we have right now for these slideshows. We're going to jump actually into the live demo portion now. So let me go ahead and zoom in on this screen, make it a little bit more visual for everybody. I think it's a little too small. And so what we're looking at right now on the screen is the Sysdyne SlabStack webinar project, right? I came up with a really creative name for this one, so that's where we are today. And what we're looking at is the SlabStack interface, and we're going to show how a quote from SlabStack can be converted directly into an order into ConcreteGo. So the project has been set up. You can see I do have one quote created. And currently, you might notice the status of this quote is in needs review, right? So basically, a manager or somebody is reviewing this quote to make sure that I'm adhering to our standards, maybe volume parameters. And so let's go ahead and look at this quote, and then we'll dive into the ConcreteGo system as well. So this is the specific quote. We're looking at products, additional services. I didn't add any price escalators, right? Everybody knows how to add price escalators. We can do those between these systems as well. But something to call out with the integration, why we are here. You might notice under dispatch customers, kind of in the center of my screen, Artiega's Concrete Inc. is green. This is a sign that comes directly from the ConcreteGo system of saying this account, their credit status is open. They are good to go and ready to work for us. So before you even send out this quote, these systems can identify maybe it's a prospect who hasn't bought from you before, and they haven't had their credit application submitted. In that case, this actually turns to red and puts a flag that says, wait a second, please push this prospect and or customer to your accounting, finance department, whoever it might be, to make sure that the credit status is approved. External ID also directly comes from this integration with dispatch. We use customer linking to ensure that these databases are in alignment. All projects, all quotes, all touch points and activities are all stored in SlabStack and connected back into that dispatch interface through the API that Henry has mentioned. So now let's take a look at how we got this quote created and push it actually from SlabStack, and we're going to push it over into ConcreteGo. So I'm going to come in here to the edit quote information, and this status, which is customizable language, we can tailor it to your business's needs, is the button or the catalyst that takes the data, your mix designs, your customer, the volumes, prices, job site location. It takes all that information from SlabStack. And once I change this status down here in my system, it's called accepted. We can change that again. And if I choose accepted and scroll down and hit save, it will actually push all of this data directly into Sysdyne's ConcreteGo. A very simple and easy system. But before I hit save and push it over, there's one other major piece of the integration that I need to show. So, having the integration, the data flow freely is incredible, but without making that data digestible, it's not as maybe critical. And so what we're looking at here is the price optimization piece of SlabStack. Fortunately, with the integration with ConcreteGo, we can pull in all the constituent materials. We have an entire data set attached to each of these locations coming from ConcreteGo, which is how now we can actually see here in the middle of my screen, what is my actual margin per cubic yard in real time. So right now we're looking at around a 19% margin, or if I hit this toggle, we're looking at around a little bit over $32.50 per yard. And again, this information is in real time. So as your internal costs, maybe they increase like everything else is, those changes are made automatically in SlabStack. And we can say, hey, if you want to reach a 20% target margin goal, the suggested price is going to fall at just over $173 per yard. So that is how the integration works in real time. This is a really nice time-saving feature. You don't have to go chase down price lists from other systems. You don't need to break out your calculator to figure out how much you're making per yard. All of this data is flowing and pretty visible, and you don't need to be a computer expert to manage the business. And so scrolling down to the next product, just to show how different it can be, up here at the top, we're looking at around a $19 per cubic yard delivery cost. Well, for my 4,000 mix, the second product listed here, you can see we're adding on about $9 roughly per yard, going to the same job site, same customer, almost the same mix design. And the reason being is because we are running 6-yard loads, right? So by tracking all the constituent materials from dispatch, we can pull those in real time. Then we know the distance to the job site. Then we can start to calculate, hey, what's the load size, pour time, and the estimated wait time? And as these figures change, for instance, 10-minute pour time, well, guess what? We just lost profitability. We just increased our delivery cost per $2 per yard. So, you know, SlabStack and Sysdyne, we're not here to tell you how to price your products. We're not here to force a price on you, but we just want to make the relationship between profitability and the changing variables extremely apparent, so you can hopefully crank out these quotes in a matter of minutes instead of hours or however long it might take previously. So now that we've examined how this integration flows into SlabStack and we can do this price optimization in real time, I'm going to skip over some of these other fields and go ahead and hit that save button. And my status of this quote should now be accepted. We are good to go. I can jump back to this project, also see that my status has been accepted. And we are going to jump over into the ConcreteGo system. So now we should be seeing ConcreteGo. I'm going to zoom in here as well. I notice it's a little bit small for this type of screen, and we're good to go. So what we're looking at now is my SlabStack instance of ConcreteGo. And these are the customers that I currently have connected between the databases. The customer we were working with in the project we just looked at was Artiegas Concrete. Go ahead and select that specific customer. You can see I actually have quite a bit of projects involved with this company, but I have it listed in alphabetical order. We can scroll down here and see here is that Sysdyne SlabStack webinar. My project expires on the 1st. We should be done with that. Now jump into the Sysdyne environment and see these are the exact same mix designs that we just looked at from the SlabStack system. You can see that the price was in alignment between them. I did drop that one price a little bit lower to give them a break on this price. And we can also go ahead and take a look at the pricing. So right here in the specific price, we can see what my price per yards is, as well as the quantity. I assigned 250 yards for my top product, which was that 3,500 everyday mix. And then on that second 4,000 mix, we had assigned 100 yards right here. So pretty quick system. Henry, you want to jump in here?
Yeah, yes. Thanks, Gage. You know, really, you know, for the audience that, you know, we do want to show the application, how it works between each other, right? In real time. This is not a PowerPoint. It's pretty much, you know, create a quote, accept the quote, approve it, push it down. Once we save it, automatically we'll push it down to the dispatch. We can see how the information will flow in real time, you know, with that project, with the product, you know, with the pricing, and with the estimated quantity. Now that the information now comes in as a project in the dispatch, you know, your dispatcher, without having to key in or making sure that information is aligned with whatever has been quoted with the salespeople, pretty much he can, you know, be able to start taking orders against those projects and not have to worry about having to double check whether their informations are correct or not. So that's a powerful, you know, very powerful tools between how the two applications can interact, back and forth, right? So Gage, you also point out a very good thing. It's like, if the customer information is key in ConcreteGo, and that information is going to flow to SlabStack, right? So you can start, so that that customers already exist in the dispatch. But if that customer doesn't exist in dispatch, you also be able to see on the CRM that if you're keying a new customer, you say, hey, that customer, that's a new customer, it's not in the dispatch, right? So that's how powerful the integration is, to be able to show that on both sides of the systems, what information you already have in there or not, and how those two systems can sync back and forth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that input and call out. And you just kind of prompted me to think of something else. Like, so, we looked at how a quote flows in here. We've discussed how the companies are connected, but, here at SlabStack and Sysdyne, we're not stagnant companies, right? So this partnership is always improving. I know right now we're working a lot on creating sundry charges and price escalators that also then flow directly between the systems.
Yeah.
That way, when you need to attach those short load fees, those will also populate in your dispatch as well and be automatically applied to your quote. To Henry's point, that specific contact, Peter Johnson, kind of in the lower left hand side of our screen, he's also attached directly to the project. So you don't need to go and search and say, hey, was it Henry that was working on this project with us? Was it John? It's like, no, this is the one-stop shop. It has all the information in ConcreteGo directly from SlabStack. Just makes it a little bit easier on the end user to stay on top of important communications and make sure that you are in fact dealing with a customer that knows what you're talking about, and not, maybe somebody in the back office that has not been involved. So, Henry, I kind of have a question for you. Like, have you seen or heard from any of your customers about our partnership and integration and how things are going?
A lot of customers approach us and ask us about, hey, do you um, do you know any applications that is industry specific, right? So, I mean, when we talk about CRM, there's a lot of CRM in the market, but to be industry specific, I mean, the only thing that come onto my mind is SlabStack. And people talk about how easy it is for integrations. I tell the people it's just like a flip a switch in your house, right? Turn on the light, and then and that's how it is. I mean, a lot of people don't believe that because of the historical experience, based on the technology that we're used to. Having an integration between two different applications, and especially between two different companies, has always been hard, because you need to make sure that the data are aligned between those two applications, right? And how, where the information going to come in. I'm not talking about just two-way, but it's talking about just one-way integration. Is very difficult in the past. It's very painful, and a lot of customers has gone through those kind of experience. So when you start telling them it's just a flip of a switch, many people don't believe that, but that's really how easy it is.
Yes, no, absolutely. It's pretty amazing, with the partnership that we have, and how quickly we can get customers stood up. And of course, a part of that, which you touched on, regardless of how well and robust the integration is built, there's still that data hygiene piece that needs to happen on the back end, which is a really good exercise when you go live with either of our companies. It's like, hey, what is the condition of your data today? Are you holding on to mix designs that are 35 years old and you haven't looked at them in 10 years? Well, maybe it's time we can cull and kind of siphon some of the data, figure out what you need, and start with the clean, easy interface with the pertinent data to your daily operations and to your role. So we've taken a look and pushed a quote from SlabStack from a project, created a quote. We created that quote and sent it directly into ConcreteGo. Again, it happens seamlessly. There's nothing I need to do in ConcreteGo other than go to that project and pull it up. And so now we'll just go ahead and jump back to a slide and reiterate a little bit about how this integration works. And Henry, if you want, I'll pass it over to you for these top bullets.
Sure. The integration really it comes from SlabStack, from quote to orders, right? So as your sales team create new quotes, and those quotes get approved and get awarded by one of your customers. And that quote would then turn into a project in ConcreteGo. So all the information that is within that quote will flow automatically into the project, right? So there's no duplicate data entry. Like you mentioned earlier, Gage, it's a two-way data flow. So basically, whether if the customers exist in ConcreteGo, it's going to push to SlabStack, or if it's a new customer, SlabStack capture, that information will also come into ConcreteGo. So it is a two-way flow, and that's also including the pricing, that where it goes from ConcreteGo to SlabStack, and the cost and the mix design. So basically, I mean, the most important part is that basically keep the accuracy of those data into system, right? So the integrity of the data is so important these days. That's so we don't make any mistakes on that. And also the live update, right? So the data is synced back and forth between the two applications. You don't need to have somebody to click on a button and say, hey, sync now, or you schedule a sync time of the day to sync all the information. That's not manually started. So basically it's all automatic. So when there's any update, there's a flag thrown, and that information would then be populated in the other system. So that's how easy it is.
Yeah.
Right. Will you take over the next two bullet?
Yeah,
Gage?
absolutely. And I appreciate that. And speaking a little bit about the live updates, so that backlog is actively in development. It should be rolled out in the near future, and it'll be pretty sweet. It's going to be reading in the post-pour ticket data directly from ConcreteGo, and you'll be able to see your actuals versus shipped, if there's any variance between those numbers. And then, very important, are these projects on track, or are we off track, depending on volume, depending on timeline and schedule. So that'll be a really nice feature for all of our customers to have. And built into that also will be those project performance as well as customer performance, right? Once we can get that massive data set, make it digestible, it'll be great to be able to say, hey, Gage's ready mix, he said he was going to do 100 yards by this time. Well, it ends up he did 75 yards, and he took even longer than expected and held my trucks forever. So my delivery costs skyrocketed and my profit margin has fallen, right? So that'll be a really sweet feature. And then we do have proven results, right? We're pretty blessed to work with some of the coolest and well-run organizations all over the nation. And typically we're able to cut out errors by up to 90%, which goes back to Henry's point about these data pieces connecting and flowing automatically. You don't need an internal admin to maintain these databases, and you don't need to jump between systems and windows when sending out quotes, making sure you're using proper mix IDs, making sure that, hey, maybe for every quote over 1,000 yards, it gets pushed to Henry for approval. Or maybe if I'm trying to send a yard of concrete out for $15 per yard, it gets pushed to Henry for review, because I actually meant to put $150. It's just I'm not great at typing, and so I left off that 0 and tried to send it at $15. So really helps cut down those errors, really increases the time from quote to order. And then it is incredibly scalable. These are robust modern systems. We can do multifaceted instances. So maybe you have a bunch of locations on different versions of different dispatch. We can still integrate and have that same seamless connection between locations regardless of the current systems. So that is really it for the last slide about how the integration works. I do see we already have some questions coming in. Might make sense for us to jump into the Q&A. I know everybody here is busy, so we're really trying to keep this fairly streamlined. Excuse me. There we go. So Q&A. I'm looking at a question from Mr. I'm not going to say. I almost got me. You have where we'll automatically resist products. So in ConcreteGo, yes, there are some settings that we can check. There are a couple different boxes that you can turn on or off depending on what's best for your business. So we can set it to where it will resist products, where ConcreteGo will only accept the specific products that are flowing from SlabStack. It makes it to where it's really easier on your dispatch, because if without that setting turned on, then he has access to pick and choose from the entire database of projects, which, you know, it could be a little bit overwhelming. But so yes, we can absolutely resist those projects.
Yeah, and those are, you know, within ConcreteGo, you know, you can also, you know, on the project settings, you can also always have that switch turned on, so you only limit the order takers be able to choose the product that is being authorized for the project, so you don't make any mistake or choosing for the long list of products, if that's the settings that you would like to have, right?
Yep, absolutely. And then I do see a great question. How many levels of review can we set up for approvals? That is a great question. So for the approval process, there's multiple parameters. It can be tied to a specific product based on profit margin per yard or based on volume amounts. And I know we have at least 3 levels of approval set up today. Of course, we're open to conversation about more, but we have found that 3 levels is a pretty good amount, meaning it could be pushed to a sales manager, then pushed to a VP of sales, and then maybe even pushed all the way up to the CEO if that is the organizational structure that you would like it to pass through. So we can have multiple levels of approval. We have a couple other specific questions about the approval. Can we have a range, say from $50 to $75? If the price is in that range, can it be auto approved? Yes, you are exactly right. We can have auto approvals set in place. Basically, if the quote is adhering to your internal best practice standards, whether it's on the higher side or lower side or in between, then the quote will automatically comply with the policy, and it will be pushed through to that next status. So that's a great question.
Yeah, there's one question here. Gage, can existing customers and projects from ConcreteGo automatically sync into SlabStack? And the answer is yes. All the information that currently exists in ConcreteGo will be flowing to SlabStack at the time of the implementation. So you don't have to manually key in those data.
Yep, absolutely. That is really kind of the beauty of this partnership is, hey, you add Gage's ReadyMix to your dispatch, you hopefully approve my credit check, and then and then all of a sudden I flow into the SlabStack system, and they're linked with a unique identifier. Makes it nice and easy. And we also have a couple other questions. Let me see. How does the integration between SlabStack and Sysdyne handle updates? Yeah, similar. This is what we've been talking about. Are these changes in pricing and quotes reflected in real time? Yep, absolutely. The changes made on the back end in ConcreteGo update into SlabStack, and then if you push these quotes from SlabStack back into ConcreteGo, it becomes an actual project. So I know the vocabulary can be a little bit confusing because it's a quote in SlabStack, but it becomes a project in ConcreteGo. But that is the data flow. Let's see any other good ones. Sorry, we're getting a lot of questions.
If the integration is in place, can Sysdyne handle everything all the way through invoicing? Yes, we you know, if the integration is in place, you know, the quote gets pushed into, you know, into a project in ConcreteGo. So, and then you can take orders against those projects, and once those orders are batched and dispatched, basically within ConcreteGo, we have our own invoicing AR where you can process those tickets all the way through invoicing and collect payments.
Yep, awesome. Thank you for that one. We've got two other good ones about the integrations. I will take what happens when a customer you are bidding, so bidding in SlabStack, is not in ConcreteGo. That is a great question, and we went back and forth about how this should be integrated. The customer does need to be created in ConcreteGo. We kind of adhere to the mindset that dispatch is the source of truth for your customers, and so as such, we do not allow projects and quotes to be pushed from SlabStack to ConcreteGo without having that customer linking established. The reason being is, hey, you know, I might be excited to win business and start sending out quotes, but for all we know, they have never even submitted a credit application and they're just not ready to handle it. Let's see. When choosing a mix in SlabStack, can it pull the costing that sales will see to choose the most cost-effective mix? Yes, sir. Absolutely. We will show you exactly how many dollars per yard you're making or the percentage of profit margin per yard in real time, because we're pulling that data automatically from ConcreteGo. We'll be able to see that, hey, if you're delivering this 35 miles away, your delivery costs are now over $35 per yard. Might be time to do a little price adjustment, call them up and say, you know, we might need to add a couple dollars per yard. So we can see the discrepancy across the mix designs as well. And then of course with those delivery costs, excuse me. Do you want to take another one, Henry?
Yeah, I think there's one for you. Is that just asking for cost? I believe they're asking for cost on SlabStack.
Yeah.
I think you might probably want to reach out after the webinar directly. You know,
Yeah.
we're more than glad to, you know, everybody that's looking for costing of the whether it's Sysdyne, ConcreteGo or any of the product or SlabStack, you know, we're going to have a QR code that you can scan on at the end of the webinar, and feel free to use that and to be able to reach out to us directly. We're more than happy to answer those.
Yeah, absolutely. We are. You guys are funny. And no, we're easily accessible, and we're happy to discuss the price even before we maybe dial into the platform, because I understand that you know, cost is a big factor of making any decision with any business.
Yeah.
If you had a product, does it go through SlabStack? If you add a product to a project, is it done through SlabStack or Go? Now that is a great question.
Yep.
You want to take that one, Henry?
If you add a product to a project that is already being awarded to your customer, then you can add it directly to a project. But if you do need to, you know, provide a quote for that additional product for that project, I recommend it's going to be on the CRM side.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see, we got a couple other good questions here also. Man, you guys are really you guys have got some good questions today. Is it myself or? No, sir. It is not a requirement to know those load size, delivery time, pour times, and wait times to quote. In fact, you can do anything you want when you start sending out these quotes. If you want to send them out for $1, you can do that. If you want to not put in any of that data, that is your prerogative. We will not put those constraints on you. But I do want to call out that we can put those parameters in place and make these required fields for certain users, right? Maybe Henry hires me as a new sales rep. I am trying to learn the business, and you want to make sure that I am putting in these required fields and then pushing them to you for review. That is absolutely in place today. And there's quite a few different levers we can pull on and off depending on how you want it set up. So that's a great question. Think about, let's see how that product. Yes, sir, we can. So the question is about, you know, how can we edit basically the name and how it populates and displays for your customers when they receive quotes? Yes, there is full customization. You do not actually have to send them your unique mix IDs from the backend. You can just send them a description, putting in whatever text that you prefer. For instance, maybe different customers call my 3500 everyday mix different names. We can still quote them that mix design while being tied back to the ConcreteGo unique identifier. So yes, you can absolutely change names, change descriptions, and populate whatever you prefer on the final document for your customers. So I guess as we start wrapping up, we can see if there's any more questions, or we can quickly go back and recap. For I know I saw some people that mentioned you joined in late. So what we did here today is we briefly, very, very briefly started in SlabStack, ran through this project called Sysdyne SlabStack webinar. we went ahead and created one quote today. It is quote 2025-10. And just to give you an idea, we jumped over here from the quote to the project. Previously, the status was still in needs review. This quote was in front of my manager. He had to sign off on it. Now he approved it for me to send. So then I went into the edit quote field, dropped into the status, and just dropped it from needs review to accepted. Once I scrolled down here and hit that save button, it enabled Henry and I to jump over here directly into the ConcreteGo system. And now we can see that we have my 250 yards of my 3,500 mix, excuse me, at $171.35. And we also were able to push this 100 yards of 4,000 mix directly into ConcreteGo. So for everybody who joined late, I know I condensed that extremely quick, but that is what we did today. Created a quote in SlabStack, pushed it seamlessly into ConcreteGo with no manual data entry required. Sends your products, customers, additional services, all of that good information ready to go. So go ahead, Henry.
No, what I'm going to say that as we coming to the end, I know that there is still some questions that are being sent through. We're going to go and respond to those questions via email back to you, so you have all the information, all the answers that you're asking.
Yeah, absolutely. We will make it a point to get back.
We apologize for, because due to time, we'll not be able to answer all the questions you ask.
Yes, and there are some really great questions. So there is one last screen, especially for questions, or if you just want to call us and say, hey guys, how much is this going to cost us? Let me go ahead and pull up that information right there for you. So there's
turn back to welcome.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to reach out, I have some quick QR codes here for both SlabStack and Sysdyne, or if you prefer to reach out via email, you can do that as well. But I think without further ado, to be respectful of everyone's time, we'll wrap up. So big thank you to Henry and Gage for presenting today. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. We know, of course, everyone's quite busy. So hope you all have a great rest of the week, and thanks for being here today. We will, this whole thing has been recorded. We'll make sure that everybody that RSVP'd will get a copy of that, and we'll also post it on our, at least the Sysdyne website, and maybe SlabStack will do the same. So look out for that if there's any colleagues that you want to share this stuff with. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, have a great Halloween. Stay safe.
You.
Happy Halloween.
Have a good day, guys. Thank you.
Take care.